Greetings, children of the screen, your friendly neighborhood nerd scum here once again with another edition of What You Mean You Ain't Seen. And I'm joined today by...
Vic. And Rosie.
And today we're going to be taking a look at Return of the Killer Tomatoes. Guys, what you mean you ain't seen Return of the Killer Tomatoes?
Bruh.
What are we even fucking doing here, man? Return of the Killer Tomatoes, originally released in 1988, rated PG, coming in at 98 minutes. It is classified as comedy, horror, and sci-fi. Written by Stephen Andrich and Joe DeBello. With a cast that includes Anthony Starkey, George Clooney, Karen M. Waldron, and starring John Astin. That's right, guys, so we watched Return of the Killer Tomatoes, the sequel to Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, the movie that almost nobody has seen. And in this film, what we find is that the small town that is, like, recovering from the Great Tomato War in the first movie has now, like them as well as the whole country, have outlawed tomatoes, but the mad scientist is still working in the town, and now instead of just enlarging tomatoes and, like, mobilizing them as weapons, he has found a way to, using music again, turn tomatoes into people. And during his experiments, he creates, like, a beautiful assistant for him who cleans and cooks and bangs him, apparently. And at a certain point, he creates another tomato that's, like, a fuzzy thing with feet. It's deformed, so he decides just to throw it away. And his assistant doesn't like that, so she runs away with it to the only other person she knows, a guy in town who's in love with her, who just happens to work at a pizza place where they can't use tomato sauce, so they have disgusting pizza. And his roommate, George Clooney. And then from there, all-out madness ensues. So anyway, guys, what'd you think of Return of the Killer Tomatoes?
I actually really enjoyed it. It was entertaining. Really stupid, but entertaining.
It was killer.
Indeed. I also really enjoyed the film. It's pretty awesome. Right on, guys. So what would you say is your favorite thing out of Return of the Killer Tomatoes?
I actually like how they took the stuff that they did in the very, very beginning to make you think it wasn't even part of the movie.
Yeah.
And then they incorporated it in the ending.
Oh, like the show where they play the fake movie and all that kind of stuff?
And then it makes sense in the end. You're like, ah!
Yes, and I also love the fact that they step out and let you know that it makes sense. Like, there's the scene where they're like, did you see how everything we set up in the first half of the movie paid off here? Yeah, that was pretty sharp, wasn't it? And then they continue doing it after it, so just in case you hadn't caught on. And I love George Clooney just being like, yeah, well, not everything. And then the pizza that he threw in, like, the first 5 minutes of the movie, like, comes down and lands on his head. It's fucking awesome.
It was brilliant.
You notice how everything we set up in the first reel pays off in the last? Pretty swift, huh? Not everything. Everything.
And as for you, ma'am?
I liked whenever they ran out of money halfway through the movie and had to start doing the product placement shit.
Yeah!
And just the Kellogg's box just...
Yes! As people might have noticed if they saw our tangent video that we did when we were recording From Dusk Till Dawn, which is our video that will be coming out probably, I think, the week before this one. So yeah, it's awesome. I love the fact that you actually stop the movie down and you have the real crew and the real director, and then you have someone from SAG come in and just, like, it's breaking the fourth wall in, like, the most perfectly perfect way and the most 100% complete way. I even loved where he's like, look at the effects we got in this movie, and he holds up the card of, like, that painting of the house that they've been using for the whole movie. But yeah, and then when they come back, like, there's just a succession of product placement, and what I really love is, like, you kind of think at first that after that scene it's over, but then, like, it just keeps popping up.
Yeah, like whenever it goes to, like, the scientist and he turns around and he's got a giant Pepsi sticker on his back.
It's like the movie waits just long enough for you to forget about the joke, and then they bring it back. And it almost never stops being funny, to the point where towards the end of the movie, when they're in the pizza place, and you see all the, like, name brand foods and stuff, even though that's what would be in a normal place like that, it still makes you laugh.
Like, they need money.
Yeah, exactly. It's great. And, like, the thing with, like, the motorcycles and, like, the four-wheelers at the end, like, oh my god. It's by far, like, yeah, I'm gonna have trouble picking now because that's probably my favorite thing in the movie as well, but yeah, the product placement joke is amazing.
Got a real problem with Tara. I'll say that's the ugliest little red dog I've ever seen. What I mean is, she's acting strange. Buddy, she likes you. You're no help at all. Listen.
So, as for me, my favorite thing in this film is the absolute 100% dedication to going above and beyond making the ultimate shitty movie. Like, making the ultimate bad movie. Because when you're intentionally making a bad movie, it takes a lot of work. You have to work really hard to make something as big a mess as this movie is. You know what I'm saying? Like, all the elements, even to the point where, like, when the movie's ending, there's a theme song they wrote for the fake movie that they put on at the beginning of the movie instead of Return of the Killer Tomatoes. It's got a whole fucking theme song. Like, that is dedication to shittiness. Like, the dedication to the bit of this movie being shitty is so pure. In, like, every respect. Like, I'm actually kind of surprised there's not more, like, boom mics and stuff like that, but, like, there's a fine line between a shitty movie and an incompetent movie. And this movie is trying to be a bad movie, but not an incompetent movie. This is trying to be the kind of movie that gets made by filmmakers who probably could make a really good movie if they had the budget, the script, or the cast that they need to do that. And I just love it. Like, both the things that y'all mentioned kind of work into that overarching concept, and, like, so many other things, just like the actors deliberately acting over the top or bad, you know, like intentional continuity mistakes, like Master of Disguise, whose disguises fool no one, you know, just the entirety of the film is just a perfect storm of, like, well-crafted shit. It's fantastic.
My tomatoes can be made to resemble anyone.
A mad scientist, together with a yuppie pervert, create an army of neo-Nazi plant-life.
This time, we shall not fail!
The vegetables of doom have returned with a vengeance. The return of the killer tomatoes.
Alright, guys, so the difficult part, what was your least favorite thing about the movie?
I honestly cannot pick a least favorite thing, because anything that I would have had a problem with in this movie works for it, because it was intended to be very shitty.
Yeah.
So I don't have anything. It was made to be shitty, so all the shitty things about it that I would have bitched about, I enjoyed for the sake of shittiness.
Fair, I guess? And as for you, ma'am?
Well, like Vic said, a lot of the shittiness was intended. So my thing is kind of stupid and nitpicky, but I didn't like George Clooney's haircut.
No, I mean, I guess that's fair, but, like, that could really be, like, addressed to, like, all the haircuts and all the fashion in this movie.
Well, no, it's because I've been
80s.
spoiled by the natural George Clooney.
You didn't see George Clooney with his Roseanne hair. Okay.
No, I didn't.
You didn't see when George Clooney was on Roseanne?
No, I watched Roseanne, but I never saw that.
Oh, yeah, George Clooney's on there. It's really hot. You should check it out. I'm lying. I mean, he's George Clooney, so he's hot, but the hair doesn't help. It's.
Are you sure about that?
Right on. So as for my least favorite thing in the film, again, got a nitpick because overall I just really love this movie, and anything that's bad in the movie is pretty much done on purpose. However, at the end of the movie, when they're playing on the cliche of, like, the person who nobly sacrifices themselves and then, like, they make it in the end, like, normally it's someone who you think they got, like, impaled, but it turns out they got something through their arm. In this one, the fuzzy tomato gets blown up, and as Vic pointed out while we were watching, like, its entrails and fur are just everywhere.
In the scientist's ear.
Yeah, right? And then, like, eventually they hear a noise and they go and they brush off some debris and he's fine. And I'm cool with him surviving, but I wish they had done, like, a cartoon thing where, like, when, you know, like, when dynamite blows up, they, like, get singed and stuff like that. Like, that would have been really funny.
But he was perfectly intact.
Yeah, exactly. Which is funny in its own way, but I also kind of like the idea of, like, if that had happened, he would look less like a tomato, so it would, like, help him fit in better. But that also works against the idea that they have that, like, because he sacrificed himself, he's accepted and stuff like that, and it's going to, like, supposed to, like, help human-tomato relations by selling little dolls of him to kids or some shit. But, anyway, like, I get why they did it, but, like, I think the joke would have immediately landed a little harder if you could have seen, like, some damage, if it wasn't just like, oh, he's just dirty.
Yeah. It's a dirty fucking tomato.
Don't add fucking in there. You just gotta say it like it's a fucking...
Damn it.
You like that? Everyone at home?
Yeah!
See, she thinks that's not going to make it
No.
into the episode, but
I
it
don't
is.
care.
You have to say it like it's an ASMR video, obviously.
It's a dirty tomato.
No. It's a turtle. You whore!
Got your lip juice on me.
It's called spit.
Lip juice is something else altogether, Rosie.
The return of the killer tomatoes.
Right on, guys. So, as it seems we all enjoyed this movie, would you recommend it to folks?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
Just a little bit or a lot bit?
like
Watch the fucking movie is
Yeah.
what you say.
basically.
Yeah, I'd recommend it. A lot bit.
Yeah, that's 2. Watch the fucking movie.
It's 3.
And yeah, I mean,
I agreed.
I was about. Oh no, you and you. That's 2, and then me.
Oh,
that's
learn
3. I
math.
was getting to me. Like
Listen,
I had,
bitch.
like what we're trying to say is watch the fucking movie, please. George Clooney will appreciate it.
Ma'am, just calm down and tell us what you saw in there.
Well, I was eating dinner. Oh, it was terrible.
Now, let's save the restaurant review, lady. Just tell us about the tomato.
Well, I was sitting there by myself and this...
Wait a minute. You were alone?
Yes.
What's the matter? You couldn't get a date?
What
about your husband?
He's dead.
What was it, suicide maybe?
He was killed in the Great Tomato War.
Ma'am, that's ancient history. You should have found somebody by now.
I can't see what
You
this is.
can't see your feet. Do the words fat cow mean anything to you?
Get away from me. Get away.
This woman is obviously too distraught to talk to our television camera. I will attempt to find someone else.
Right on, children of the screen. Thank you very much for joining us for another edition of What You Mean You Ain't Seen? Return to the Killer Tomatoes.
Later.
Adios.
And if you guys like this video, please leave a like and share it with some friends. Also, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe and hit that little bell so you can get updates on all the dope content we'll have coming out in the future. Furthermore, guys, if you'd like to follow us on Instagram or Twitter, we will have the link for that in the description down below. Once again, guys, thank you very much for watching. Hope you all have a good one. Nerd Scum, motherfucking out!